where we are right now, the kind of irrigation here is rain-fed and also overhead irrigation. And of course, overhead irrigation can be seen from this pipe here, whereby on top you place a sprinkler, and you can be able to see these pipes have been spaced at regular interval. And of course, this is a permanent form of irrigation. There is a big pipe beneath this line, and of course that is the main pipe that brings water from the reservoir. It is pumped from the river or from the dam or from the borehole. It is pumped up through that line, and irrigation is done. So this kind of irrigation requires that you establish your land, you do land preparation flat the way it is done, and then you establish your crop. Of course, we have other forms of irrigation, one being drip irrigation. And for drip irrigation, you will need to have beds. You set up beds where you are going to set up your drip lines, and then you'll be having spaces where you'll be able to pass and do your management, and then you have another bed where you are going to establish the drip irrigation and you plant your crop. So they are different. You could even be having other places where you have furrow irrigation, where you have enough water. Maybe you have water from a river and you have water from canals. You are able to do trenches, and along the trenches you plant your spinach. But here where we are going to demonstrate, or we are going to learn on spinach that is planted, and the method of irrigation is rain-fed and overhead irrigation. And of course, when you are talking about the spinach, we are talking about the varieties that are planted. And one of the popular variety that is planted is called Ford Hook Giant. And Ford Hook Giant is a variety that is extensively planted. Various companies have the same variety, and also you find other companies have other varieties. And mostly in the spinach, we usually have what we call improved varieties. We have improved varieties. The hybrid varieties have not yet established well, but we have the local varieties. And after the local varieties, there has been improvements to improve in terms of disease prevention, and also in terms of production. Because in terms of spinach, what is harvested is the leaves, and the main market for spinach is the local market. Very few or none in many countries, maybe in South Africa, maybe in Africa, many places where spinach is farmed, it goes to the local market. It's for local consumption. And therefore, while we are here, this is the establishment. Of course, we have the plowing. You do the plowing to ensure that the soil has a fine tilth. It is not doesn't have a lot of the big source of soil, and in that way, the spinach are going to establish very well. The other aspect that has already been done here is the manuring, and you can be able to see we even have some bigger sorts of manure. And actually, this is not the best, because actually when you are doing the manuring, the manure should be very well decomposed. Should be like what we have here, but not what we have here. When you are doing the manuring, should be resembling the soil, not to be as compact as this. Should have smaller sods, just like the soils. Once the land is prepared, mostly maybe the land after another crop, the land could be having a lot of weeds. So what is done is the land is usually prepared. Maybe you can come with a tractor, or maybe you can just come with just a an implement, or maybe a fork, or maybe a hoe. And then once you come, you establish your land, or you plow. After now the plowing, you can now come with your decomposed manure, as I've shown you. Then you broadcast on the farm. You can use maybe a ton per acre, or maybe 2 tons per acre, depending on the fertility level of your soil. We encourage, if maybe your fertility is good, don't put a lot of manure. It depends on how you see your soil, or maybe how the crop that has been established, they have been establishing. From the health of that, you are able to see how much manure you are able to apply. Over application of manure, of course, is not encouraged, because the plant that you are going to have are going to be very vegetative, and when they are very vegetative, they are going to be susceptible to diseases. So it is very important to be able to note about that. So after you broadcast your your manure, then what follows is leveling. You do leveling. That is after you do the leveling, you come with a rake or a fork, and as you leveling is basically breaking down the large source of soil into smaller ones. And in so doing, you also be mixing the manure that the farmyard manure that you had broadcast on the soil. You'll be mixing together with the soil. So after that period of mixing, leveling up the soil, now there will be now the other part where you are now going to do the holes. After you do the holes, you establish your spinach crop, and that's what we are going to show you next. The process that is taking place here is raking. This is basically the manure that has already been placed, broadcast on the soil, mixing together with the soil, and also breaking large particles of soil into smaller ones, and also leveling up. So this is the basic preparation so that the spinach crop can be established. The next step is spacing. We're going to show the spacing, and after the spacing, we are going to show how planting is done. And of course, the first step, as you can see here, where it has already been planted, this is what we call the line spacing, or the interrow spacing. And then this is what we call, from here to here, is the interrow spacing, and then from here to here is the plant spacing, or interplant spacing. The spacing is supposed to be 30 or 1 foot square, or 30 centimeters square. And the stick I'm holding here is roughly 30 centimeters. Once you measure from the thumb to the index, that's around 15 centimeters. So 2 of them, that makes around 30 centimeters. And therefore, it should be like this. The first line, if the first line is here, then the second line should be here. Such that the first plant is planted here, the other is planted here, a distance of 30 centimeters. And then from one plant to the other, one is planted here, the other is planted here, that should be 30 centimeters.